are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for
keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Wednesday, March 27th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate, get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So with that being said, let's get into what we are going to talk about for today. So we're only doing 2 segments for the day. I have to cut the show a little bit short. But tomorrow we'll be back to the full hour, and Friday as well. But just today, a half-hour show. So with what we are going to talk about, we're going to talk about some of the announcements the NFL made. We'll talk about there being a doubleheader on Christmas next season. So I'll talk about that, some of the other things as well, what platforms are going to be broadcasting playoff games. We'll get into that, as well as talking about also the game that's going to be played in Brazil the first week of the regular season. We'll talk about that as well. Then in the second part of the show, I'll talk about an article from DraftKings, from Bleacher Report, talking about DraftKings, their win-loss, their over-unders for each team post-free agency. So we'll get into that as well. So, yeah, short show, but that is what we are going to get into. So, with that being said, let's get into the first topic, which is talking about the Christmas games as well as some other news as well. So, let's get right into it. So, the NFL will continue the tradition of playing games on Christmas Day in 2024. But here's the thing. That game will be played on a Wednesday. Now, I'll get into that in a second. So 2 matchups are scheduled for Christmas Day, with teams playing on the previous Saturday to allow for recovery. So basically their logic is, okay, we'll have the teams that are playing on Christmas play on Saturday, and you'll have the same amount of rest period as you would if it was a Sunday, if you're playing on Sunday going into Thursday Night Football. Okay, so those teams will be playing on Saturday, then they'll play on the Wednesday. Okay, so the NFL has a history of playing games on Christmas Day, with 30 games played since 1971, including 2 playoff games. I actually did not know that. That's interesting, 2 playoff games. Christmas Day games have consistently generated high television ratings with significant viewership. So, yeah, I mean, there's no surprise why they decided to do this. Roger Goodell stated that Wednesday games will not become a regular occurrence, though, and there hasn't been an increase in injuries from midweek games. The NFL schedule for 2024 includes games every week on Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and some late season contests on Saturday. But you also have to factor in as well, you have the Black Friday game and now the Christmas doubleheader. So there's that one weekend, I think I took a screenshot of it. Okay, maybe I didn't. But you're going to have football every single day. Actually, hold on, I'll go to the... here, this is what I'll do. Go to the calendar. So you'll have... Obviously, you'll have the Monday Night Football game on the 23rd. Then you're going to have the Christmas doubleheader on the 25th. Then you're going to have Thursday Night Football the next night. The 27th, there will be nothing. Then you have Saturday games. Then you have the Sunday slate. And then, of course, you have college football as well. So there's a lot going on the 30th and on the 31st. I think there's college football games as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of football. The 27th does not get a lot of love. That's just going to be a day to... get ready for the second half of that crazy week of football. But that's basically what's going to happen. So you're going to have football Wednesday, football Thursday, no football Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and Tuesday as well. So I believe. So that's going to be a crazy time. But yeah, the main thing though that I wanted to talk about is the fact that there is going to be 2 games on Christmas. So, again, not everybody celebrates Christmas. I understand that. But for me, I mean, I don't think the players are going to be crazy about it, and I'm not crazy about it either. Now, again, it's my own opinion, but I kind of just want to relax on Christmas. I don't want to have to, see, it's more from a fantasy thing, too, where this past season, I had to stress on Christmas because I was playing in my fantasy playoffs. And I want to just enjoy my holiday without having to stress over that. So now, these games could play a huge role in whether you're in the playoffs or if you're playing in a league that has a punishment and you're battling it out for who's going to finish in last place, and you got to stress out over that too. So there's that. Also, I just feel like it's going to be a distraction for me, just in general, because I want to at least just go to where I go on Christmas and enjoy myself, and that's what I want to do. But now you're going to have football on, and now I know that I'm going to have my face glued to the TV when I'm with my family because, I'm a nut job when it comes to football. I want to watch it. And the NFL knows that people are going to watch, so that's why they're doing this. But I'm not really a big fan of it. I was making jokes of it, but soon, you're going to see football being played every day of the week. And we already saw that during COVID. So COVID kind of maybe gave them this idea of, okay, we could play football whenever. Because you saw Tuesday night football. You saw Wednesday night football. Now there's Friday games. You got Thursday and Monday night have been around for a while. Saturday. Next year, Tuesday's the only day that is not going to have a football game. At least for the NFL. So, yeah. Now, Roger Goodell did say that it's not going to be a regular thing, but who knows? Who knows? They could be like, hey, this is a great idea. We're going to keep doing this. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, it's more football, and that weekend that I just talked about is going to be jam-packed with games, which is awesome. But, again, there's a part of me that isn't a big fan of it because now Thanksgiving is a different story. That's a tradition. For me, in the article I was reading, it said the tradition of football games on Christmas. Well, Thanksgiving is an every year thing. Christmas, it's every, couple years or so. You have football on around the holidays or around Christmas or on Christmas. Now you got Christmas falling smacked in the middle of the week, and they're like, okay, we're going to put games on that day. So, but, again, it's all because of the viewers. It's all because of the audience. If the games aren't doing great, then they probably wouldn't do it. But it's because we love the sport so much and we're going to continue to watch it that this is why they're doing that. And on top of that, look at the NBA. The NBA, Christmas was their day. Now all of a sudden the NFL's like, no, not so fast. We're taking it away from you. So that's the other thing as well. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just in the minority, but I'm not. I kind of want. I like when football's on Thanksgiving. I love that. But for Christmas, I think maybe you kind of do away with that. But again, Roger Goodell said it's not going to be a regular thing. So we'll see. But I'm not a big fan of it. But again, I could be in the minority when it comes to that. So, all right. So the other things as well. So I wanted to talk about. Well, let's talk about the playoffs for a second. Now again, the playoffs are ways away. We're not even into. We don't know who's playing where on what week. Well, we know the opponents, but we don't know, how the specific schedule is going to be. So Amazon Prime will be broadcasting a playoff game next season. So I know Peacock obviously did that, but Amazon Prime is going to be calling a game. So they have reportedly paid an estimated $120 million for the exclusive rights to broadcast the wild card playoff game. So you'll have them, you'll have NBC, you'll have CBS, Fox, and ESPN as well, all calling games that weekend. Obviously, ESPN does the game on Monday night now. It's Super Wild Card weekend, the whole deal. But now Amazon Prime, they'll be taking a playoff game instead of Peacock. This move follows the success of the wildcard playoff game broadcasted on Peacock during the previous postseason, which resulted in significant subscriber growth and viewership. That's where everything's going. That is where everything's going, is streaming, unfortunately. But yeah, so Fox is doing the Super Bowl next season. During the next regular season, streaming platforms will feature Thursday Night Football games exclusively on Amazon Prime, which we know. One game exclusively on Peacock and one international series game exclusively on ESPN+. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about here is that Brazil game. So that Brazil game, the Friday, well, the night after the first game of the season, opening kickoff, that Friday, the Philadelphia Eagles will be playing in Brazil. Now, it's coming down to two teams. It's going to be on Peacock. It's going to be either the Green Bay Packers or the Cleveland Browns. So I know I made a joke, I think on this show at least. I know I made it off air to people, but I think I might have said it here too. What if it's the Giants? Well, it's not going to be the Giants. Because I said, Saquon Barkley facing his former team in Brazil, I mean, it's going to... The script just writes itself there. Well, it's not going to happen. It's going to be either the Packers or the Browns. And those are intriguing matchups. Those could be either opponent. That would be an intriguing game to look forward to. The Browns, hopefully Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson will be playing in that game. I mean, Deshaun Watson, I think so. But Nick Chubb, we'll see. But yeah, that's an intriguing matchup. And then, of course, you have the Packers, a team that I talked about, recently this week. Jordan Love's comments on, hey, this team can make a Super Bowl run. That would also be an intriguing matchup as well. So either of those opponents I'd be fine with. Now, again, am I crazy about this game being played on a Friday, the first week of the season? If this was later in the season, it would be different. Again, I'm not a fan of it either. Because for me, I'm used to, all right, here's the first game of the season on NBC Thursday night, and then you got everything else Sunday, and then you got the Monday night game as well. And sometimes there was a Monday night doubleheader, which they're going to be doing more of those too, which, again, not a fan of that either, because it used to be, well, not it used to be, but at least the first week of the season, you had one game was played, then you had the game on the West Coast that would play after that. But now you had a game start, and then a game would start an hour later, or a half hour, 40 minutes later, whatever it is, and they'd both be on at the same time. And last year, yeah, you had two games on at the same time. You had the Titans and the Dolphins and the Packers and the Giants both on at the same time. Which, again, like, if you have multiple screens in your house, that's not a big deal. You can have both games on. But for some people, you only got one TV. You got to pick and choose what you want to watch. So, yeah, I've been doing a lot of complaining. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't like change, but it's just... I think I have a legit complaint where you have two games playing at the same time. Because, you want to be able to watch both. Some people, you can't do that. Because I could put a game on my phone, I could put a game on the TV, and then you go. I got both games on at the same time. But like I said, for other people, you might not have that luxury. So, and I think more people have multiple screens, so they're able to do that. But I don't know. I just feel like you don't want to have games. I mean, again, Sunday's different because, you got the full slate, and I get that. But I'm just talking about, like, on Monday night. These are nationally televised games, as opposed to Sunday where, if you have the Sunday ticket, yeah, you'll be able to watch the games. But, if you don't have that, you're just watching whatever's on your local TV station. So, yeah. So, like I said, I've done a lot of complaining in this segment. Again, I mean, back to the Christmas games, yeah, I'm going to watch them. But am I a fan that it's going to fall on a Wednesday? Not really. I mean, again, because the NFL is saying injuries are not a risk here. They did the studies. They did the work, the research. But I don't know. I don't think the players are going to be that crazy about it. I'm not really that crazy about it. because I mean, who knows who's playing in those games, but I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it. I know the players probably aren't fans of it either, but that's going to become a thing. I mean, again, Roger Goodell said it's not going to be a regular thing, but at least for this year, there's going to be games played on a Wednesday, but again, we've seen that before. COVID showed us that. The Steelers and the Ravens, who actually were supposed to play on Thanksgiving, that was supposed to be the night game on Thanksgiving. And then, the Ravens, their whole roster got COVID, and you had all these backups playing. RG3 had to start, and it was weird, seeing a game being played on a Wednesday, a standalone game on a Wednesday. But that was 2020. Games were played every single day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So, and now, you flash forward to 2024, you got games on Friday, you got games on Monday, Thursday, and now Wednesday. Not Tuesday. Tuesday's not getting any love. Sorry, Tuesday. And then, of course, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, again, it's great, but it's also not great. It's great for us, but, for the players, again, they're probably not that enthusiastic over it. So, but that's just, that's 2024 for you. So with that, we're going to take our first break of the show, and then when we come back, we are going to talk about an article on Bleacher Report that I saw. It showed DraftKings win totals, over-unders for every team after free agency. So that's what we will talk about when we come back from our first break, or our first and only break of the show. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second and final part of the show, we are going to talk about NFL win projections after free agency. So this is based off of DraftKings, again, an article I saw on Bleacher Report, so I wanted to go through that. So let's get into it. So I don't really know where to start. I mean, I guess we'll talk about who's at the top and who's at the bottom. So over-unders for the Chiefs, 49ers, and Ravens, they all are at 11.5. Then at the bottom, the Panthers and the Patriots have 4.5. Now, again, this is after free agency. We still got the draft to, get to and see what teams add to their roster through that. Because the Patriots right now, I mean, they added Jacoby Brissett, but they're going to be looking to draft a quarterback. And they got a lot of work to do with that offense. The Panthers, same thing. Although the Bears have their number 1 overall pick, which probably would have came in handy this year. But that's not the case here. And they've added some offensive linemen. They also traded for Deontay Johnson. So they're trying to improve this offense to put Bryce Young in a better situation. But yeah, right now the Patriots and the Panthers are at 4.5. Of course, at the top, like I said, you got the Chiefs, the 49ers, and the Ravens. Those are the 3 best teams in the NFL. The The Chiefs obviously won the Super Bowl. But, for most of the year, you looked at the Ravens and the 49ers on a collision course for the Super Bowl. I mean, we did see them play each other like we just talked about on Christmas. And the Ravens, forced Brock Purdy into 4 interceptions. And it was not a great game for him by any means. But, and that basically cemented Lamar Jackson's MVP for 2023 was that game. And they did not match up in the Super Bowl. It was Chiefs 49ers, and yeah, the Chiefs once again won. So the Chiefs at 11.5, I mean, I think they're going to go over that. Especially now you had Marquise Brown. If Marquise Brown is the player that he was with Baltimore, and they can add those explosive plays back into this offense, and drops aren't a problem for the Chiefs next year, I mean, they should get over 11 wins. So the 49ers, I think, will get over 11 wins. And again, it all comes down to also being healthy, too, because, 2020, the 49ers were ravaged by injuries. But 49ers, I could see them getting, they're going to get over 11.5. The Ravens, the division's going to be tougher because you got Burrow coming back. The Steelers, I think, will be better. The Browns will be better. The Browns split with the Ravens last year. So, yeah, I think it's going to be tougher. And you're also, on top of that, you're going to play the Chiefs during the regular season as well, which they didn't do. You're going to play the Bills. So, the schedule's going to be tougher for the Ravens, but I think I think 11 wins is what they're going to get, 11, 12 wins. Now, the Falcons, they got 10.5. That's their over-under. And they finished last year 7-10. With Kirk Cousins now and some of the moves that they've made, adding more receivers to the receiving core, Rondale Moore and Darnell Mooney. And again, not superstar players, but again, that helps the offense to go along with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Algier, and Bijan Robinson as well. Healthy Kirk Cousins with a good roster. I mean, yeah, I think this team gets 10 wins. Now, it's tough for me to say that because the Buccaneers, their over-under here is 8.5. So 8-9 wins maybe. So maybe, yeah, Falcons could end up being the team that wins that division. Again, we're saying this way before the season starts, but I do kind of like the Falcons to win the division more than the Bucs, unfortunately. So the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Bengals, and the Lions all at 10.5. So the Eagles, I mean, I think they get over 10.5 wins. Dolphins, I mean, the Dolphins and the Bills are tough, but I think they should. I know, what am I going to say? Everybody's going to get over 10.5 wins? I think the Packers will get 10 wins. I think they'll be under. I say they get 10 wins. The Lions are at 10.5. I think the Lions are going to be over. I still like the Lions to win that division. The Bengals, with the healthy Burrow, they should get more than 10.5 wins. Cowboys at 10.5. Yeah, I mean, they should get 11, 12 wins. Because, again, they're a good regular season team. But, it's the playoffs that have been a problem. Jets and the Texans are at 9.5. I think the Texans get over 9.5 wins. I'm expecting big things out of them. I'm expecting big things out of C.J. Stroud in year 2. The Jets at 9.5. It's really tough because I would love to come here and say, yes, healthy Aaron Rodgers, they're going to get over that number. I'm going to say under just because I can't. Well, then again, I did say that I was going to be the one to be positive about it. So you know what? I'm going to say they get over 9.5 wins. Or maybe they get 9 and they squeak in as like the 6th or 7th seed. I'm surprised the Steelers and the Browns, they're with the Chargers, the Jaguars, the Colts, the Rams, the Bucks, the Bears. Wow, a lot of teams at 8.5 wins. I know, I'm taking the over for a lot of these teams. Yeah, it's really tough. Because I look at these teams and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I could see the Steelers getting over 8, Steelers getting 9. I think the Browns should get more than 8.5, get maybe 10. Chargers is interesting because their roster is going through major reconstruction. So I don't know how this first year is going to be. I mean, maybe I see a scenario where they go 7-10. I mean, maybe Herbert puts up good numbers, but I don't know. The Jaguars, they got at 8.5. The Colts, they got an 8.5. Man, it's tough. And now the Rams are at 8.5, and losing Aaron Donald, that's big. They actually did sign Tre'Davious White recently. They signed a couple of defensive backs this offseason, him and also Darius Williams as well. But yeah, I mean, you're missing Aaron Donald. So now, which is going to be a big problem for them. Yeah, so I mean, I think the Rams will get over 8.5. I think they'll figure it out. If they got a healthy team, they should be able to get, 9, 10 wins. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough here. The Bears at 8.5. I know. I feel like I'm saying the over for all these teams, but that's not going to happen. Then you got a few teams at 7.5 wins. They actually got the Commanders at 7.5 wins, over under 7.5. The Seahawks is 7.5. The Saints are 7.5. Yeah, not a lot of people are that high on the Saints. Now, I'm not really high on the Saints either, but again, they play in a competitive division or a winnable division. So I'm not going to, I don't know. I mean, Derek Carr finished the year strong. So, I mean, the Seahawks at 7.5 is interesting. I feel like they can get more. I think Sam Howell is going to take over that starting job. I think he's going to take that from Geno. But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'm too high on Sam Howell. I don't know. I just feel like now that he's in a better system, he got off to a good start last year, and then things kind of fell apart. I feel like in this system now with a pair of good running backs and a trio of solid wide receivers, I feel like he could do well in that spot. But that's just me. Maybe I'm just too high on Sam Howell. I mean, I think the Seahawks could get 8-9 wins with that roster. New head coach, but I don't know. I feel like they can do that. Commanders, I'm going to say under 7.5. Yeah, I still think they're a ways away. But I could be wrong. Then you got a lot of 6.5 for the 6.5 over-unders for the Giants, the Raiders, the Vikings, the Cardinals. Yeah, Giants right now, yeah, it's like 5 or 6 wins. Raiders, I mean, they did finish 8-9. And they played better with Antonio Pierce. So, you know what? I'm going to say that they get over 6.5. Maybe by not that much, but they get over it. The Cardinals, I mean, again, got to see what they do in the draft. Right now they're at 6.5. DraftKings has them at. I feel like it might be under. So we'll see. Then you got a pair of over-unders for 5.5. Titans and the Broncos. Yeah, Broncos, it's going to be a rough year for them. I mean, we'll see what they do at quarterback. Jared Stidham has a chance to be the starter, but again, I'm not expecting them to win a lot of games with him as their quarterback. The Titans, I mean, they're at 5.5 despite all the moves they made. I mean, they just got L'Jarius Sneed. You got Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, Will Levis in year 2. I think they could get over 5.5, but I don't think by that much just because the division's going to be tough. So I'm going to say they get over 5.5. The Broncos, I mean, they might be 4 or 5 win team. But we'll see what they do in the draft. Then you got the Panthers and the Patriots. I mean, I think that number's accurate. That maybe they get 4 or 5 wins. I think the Patriots will finish with a better record than the Panthers, but yeah, it's they're probably going to still finish with a losing record next season. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I mean, again, like I said, the Panthers, they are trying to help Bryce Young out, surrounding him with more talent. So you expect him, hopefully, to be better in year 2. But only time will tell. And the Patriots, they got to figure out their quarterback situation because right now they got Jacoby Brissett, but you got to add. He's not going to be their long-term answer. So, but yeah, those are every team's over/unders, at least on DraftKings. This is post-free agency. I know I basically went through them and was like, yeah, this team, I could see them getting over, but I don't think you're going to see that. Every team I said that's going to get their over, I don't know if that's going to happen. But like I said, only time will tell. And yeah, but that's pretty much it for the show for today. Again, tomorrow and Friday we'll be back to the hour. I had to cut the show a little bit shorter today. But like I said, we'll be back in full swing tomorrow. So make sure to tune in for that. And yeah, but let me know what you guys think about what we talked about. How do you guys feel about, Amazon now taking over a game in the playoffs instead of Peacock? The Brazil game that Friday on opening weekend, as well as the Christmas doubleheader that we're going to get. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also, with what we just talked about, the win projections, the over-unders for every team. Again, there's some where, maybe it was a little too high, a little too low. But, again, they could somehow find a way to be right, and then I look like the person that has no idea what they're talking about. So, but yeah, that's like I said, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, we'll be back again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And until then, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day. And like I said, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.